Hi everyone, welcome back to Planet Dirt. My name's Alicia and today we are checking in on winter sowing. We're going to see if this was a total fail. I've never done it before. This is my first year, my first try, and I peeked in a couple of the bottles and there is stuff growing, but I didn't label everything properly, so I'm not sure what is what. I do have labels inside though, so we'll find out today. All right, here's the state of the winter sowing. So everything on this side from here over has sprouted something. So we're going to open it up, take a look, pot up what we can. And then everything over here has not sprouted anything. And I'm going to leave these outside. So I'm not expecting to get anything out of these at this point. But it can't hurt to leave it there for another month or so. But the things that have sprouted over here, we had quite the false spring the last couple of weeks. It was absolutely gorgeous outside. It was like in the upper 60s, low 70s, and it was above freezing here for almost 2 full weeks straight. And so I think that's why a lot of this has sprouted. And I don't want to risk killing it in the next month when we continue to get some hard freezes. So I'm going to take what I can, pot it up, take the things inside that are super cold sensitive, but everything else is just going to stay in the greenhouse. All right, so we are going to jump in and get started, and I'll see what has actually sprouted in these jugs. So, oh, this one I actually did label. It says anise on it. So some of them have labels and then some of them do not. And I do have labels inside of all of them. So I do know what's in them, or I will eventually once I get them open. But at first glance, I didn't really make it that easy on myself. All right, so we actually do have a lot sprouted in this one. All right, so this is the first one I opened, and it does have quite a few sprouts in it, which is awesome. I'll have to go back and watch my video. I don't remember how heavily I seeded these, but honestly, I've never grown anise before. I think it came in the my gardener grab bag that I had, but I'm gonna put this one in a pot. So I'm gonna go ahead and up pot it today, and I do have a bigger pot I could probably put it in that might be its final home, but I don't know. I'll see how many little pots I have left over, and if I can put it in something smaller until it perks up a bit. Actually, these ones. All right. So now that I'm saying that, I think I'm going to leave this one in this container and just leave it open in the greenhouse because I don't see that it has any true leaves on it yet, and I don't really want to disturb it any more times than I have to. So this one I'm going to leave just like this. I'm just going to put it on a shelf in the greenhouse so that I remember to keep it watered and it has a little bit more cover than it would just outside in the elements. All right, on to the next. Ooh, this one is artichoke. See, I did label some of them. All right. It's very exciting. I honestly would have loved to have kept these in here for another few weeks or month even, but it just got so warm all of a sudden, and now we're supposed to get cold again for the next few weeks, and we are nowhere near our last frost date. I think our last frost date here is the first week of May, and it is the first week of March right now, so we've still got a ways to go. So I don't want to leave them out in the elements. I've never done this before, and so I'm probably being way more paranoid about it than you probably need to be. I think the whole point of winter sowing is to be more hands-off, but I don't want the things that have sprouted to just die because it's going to get so cold again, and I'm not really sure how much of this is cold hardy. I know the artichokes are perennials, but that doesn't mean that they're not gonna die back and then come back later, you know. And if they don't have good root systems, then they're not gonna come back, whether they're perennial to your location or not. All right, so this one, I put two things in. It has thyme and lupine, which is a kind of flower, and it looks like the lupine has, I hope I'm saying that right, I don't even know. It's like when you read all the time and then you learn new words through reading and you don't know how to actually pronounce them. English is hard, guys. So the thyme has not, the thyme is on this side. That has not sprouted at all, but there's tons of the lupine flower in there, which is super exciting, and they're looking really good. So these ones do look big enough to transplant, so I might try to scoop some of those out of here and get them into pots. I usually keep my flowers in pots, and that's where they live for the season. But today I'm just going to put them in smaller little containers so that I can keep them in the greenhouse. See, yet another lovely piece of duct tape with no label on it. None at all. Ooh, all right. This one is looking a little sad. There's literally a hole in it from where rain and snow probably dropped in. So I haven't had to water these that much. And when I did, I tried to spray like the side of it so that it wouldn't like just create a giant hole. But we did get some heavy rains last week, and it looks like there was just a giant hole in the middle of this. So this one's Chervil, and quite a few sprouted. I don't know what it's supposed to look like. What even is Chervil? Again, a lot of these were like the things that I got from the My Gardener grab bag. They weren't things that I had researched at all. But it looks like I got some good germination. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sprouts in there. So that's pretty good. Ooh. All right, this is the dill. Look at that germination in there. Isn't that beautiful? So excited, you guys. Dill is so finicky for me. I have had such a hard time germinating dill. I usually have to throw in like 10 or 12 seeds just to get 1 or 2 out of it. And it's just because you have to keep it moist for so long. It takes a while to germinate. So that one is super exciting. These ones, I don't know. I might keep these in here for another week or so in the greenhouse. Some of them look ready to transplant, but some of them do not. And I'm worried. I kind of don't want to disturb the little tiny ones. So I might wait another week on that one. Ooh, you guys, this one's so exciting. Oh, I was hoping this was one of the flowers. So I could see like inside through the top, and I could see the things were sprouted, right? But I couldn't always read the label, and I didn't, like I said, I didn't label the outside of every single jug, which I should have. That was my bad. But some of them, I put the tags like facing out instead of in, so I couldn't actually read them from looking down through the top. But this is the chamomile. Look at that germination, guys. So exciting. I love chamomile, and I might actually get enough to make some tea this year. So that's super exciting. I had chamomile in a container last year, and I'll show you after I'm done wrapping up here, but some of it self-seeded because it just self-seeds so readily. And some of it up, which is super exciting, but it's a little tiny bit. It's not very much. And the rest of that container, I think, has some snapdragons and stuff in it. It's hard to tell when they're that small. And so I'm basically basing it off of what I had in there last year, and I know self-seeds. But that is super exciting. There's a lot in there. All right, what do we have next? We have something that isn't labeled. Shocker. Oh wait, this one was chocolate. This one was labeled. Oh, it's rhubarb. Oh. Ooh, yay, I have rhubarb, you guys. I have a couple in there. That's so exciting. Again, not quite big enough to transplant, I don't think, but still, that's super exciting. So I've experimented with rhubarb a few times, and it just gets so hot here so fast that I'm having trouble finding a place to put it. But I love rhubarb, so I really want to keep trying until I can try to make it work here. So honestly, getting it in seed form was like a low risk way for me to try it out. So I'm super excited that looks like I have 3 plants there, which is awesome. Oh, this one's not labeled. Ooh, okay, so this is why I wanted to do this today. So I probably could have waited to move some of these, and they probably would have been fine outside. But there were a few that were in here, and I don't even know. They're so tiny. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see them in there. But this one is bee balm, and the seedlings are tiny, tiny. Like they just germinated, and with the constant temperature swings that we're going to have over the next few weeks, I don't want these little tiny baby seedlings to die. So that's really the reason why I'm doing this. There are a ton in here. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, that's 1, 2, 8. 8 little bee balm plants in a little tiny container. That's so exciting. Ooh, this one has a bunch. Oh, that's why. Okay, so this one is more of my flowers. It's some sweet alyssum. And this one I know is frost tolerant. Not as frost tolerant as we're going to be getting, but there are a ton in here. This one I really wasn't worried about germination, but when it's starting, I wanted a lot more than I had last year, and it looks like there are probably over a dozen plants in here, which is awesome. So really this one I did for the winter sowing really just because I wanted more than like 6 little plants, and that takes up a lot of room in your seed starting setup when you're doing that many. So I just thought this was a little more economical. I don't know. And I absolutely love alyssum. They smell wonderful. I know they're edible. I've never eaten them, but they're so pretty, and the bees love them, and they're great at keeping away pests too. All right, next. Ooh, okay, so the next one is the whole reason why I did any winter sowing at all is because for the last 3 years, Leah, what are you doing? So for the last 3 years, I have tried to start my own lavender from seed, and I just have had 0 germination. The very first year, I know it was me. It's probably been me all years. I don't know how I'm kidding. The first year, I just threw it in some soil and nothing happened. And then I learned that you have to cold stratify lavender. And so the next year, I did the refrigerator trick, where you're supposed to put it in a wet paper towel, in a baggie, in your refrigerator for like 6 to 8 weeks or something like that. I don't remember the exact timing on that. But that's what I did. I followed all the rules. I still got 0 germination. And so the next year, I was like, okay, so maybe it wasn't cold enough, right? I don't know why I thought that. But you can also do it in the freezer. And so I put it in the freezer. Also got zero germination. So this year, I was like, you know what? I'm going to let Mother Nature take care of it. And we get way enough chill hours here to be cold stratifying things. So that's the whole reason I even looked into winter sowing and decided that I was going to do it this year. So all of that is to say, I do have some germination with my lavender. I peeked in here, and it's not good, y'all. It's not good, but it's not zero, which is what I have had the last few years. So I'm taking it as a win. I don't know. So if you look in here, oh goodness, they're so tiny, you probably can't even see them. But in this lovely thing, there are two little seedlings germinated out of, I don't know, probably the 24 I put in this container, because I just have had no success at all. And so I wanted to give them the best chance ever. Oh, maybe there's 3. Oh, there's 3. Okay. 3 is better than 2, and 2 is better than none. Okay, so I'm taking this as a win. I have some lavender that I have started from seed. I have a couple of lavender plants in between my thyme and my other herbs in my long herb garden bed. And they do fine. They do fine, but they don't get very big. And I think it's because of where they're located. One of them gets more sun than the other, but it gets fried. And so the one that's in less sun actually does better, just because it has a more moderate temperature throughout the summer. And so my idea for this whole back area where I have a bunch of herbs already is I want to fill it out. It just has one little strip of herbs right now, and some of them are big because they've been there a couple of years. My rosemary is huge, and it does insanely well here. But my idea is to fill it out with a bunch of different lavender plants and stuff. So I want a ton of lavender, and I just have had the hardest time getting it to germinate. Anyway, so 3 is better than 0. I am happy. I am excited that I have any right there. So next I have something that's not labeled. I know you're shocked. You're absolutely shocked that I didn't label it. All right. So, all right. Let me get it. Oh, okay. So this one has 2 different flowers in it. It has marigolds and black swan poppies. And I can already tell you that none of the marigolds have germinated, but that could be it's probably my fault. It's generally a gardener's error when things don't germinate. So when I say it's my fault, you know I'm right. So on one side, I have black swan poppy, which I'm super excited about because this is one of the flowers last year that I didn't know it had to cold stratify. I didn't know poppies had to cold stratify. I haven't been growing flowers very long, as you can tell. So I got none to germinate last year, but this year I did them in the winter sowing, and I have black swan poppies, y'all. I'm so excited. But on the other side are supposed to be marigolds, and none of them have germinated. But I'm looking at the soil, and honestly, the side with the poppies on it has a little bit of moisture, and the other side with the marigolds is just bone dry. So I'm not going to give up on the marigolds just yet. I'll get some water in them. And the poppies, I think poppies are one that they don't like to be transplanted. So I'm going to wait and give them a little bit more time in here, and then I'll find their forever home, and I'll just scoop that whole side out and put it in their forever home so that I'm not messing with the roots too much. But yeah, Oh yeah. The side on the marigolds with the marigolds is just bone dry. So it probably just didn't have any moisture to germinate. I can still see several seeds on the top, and they don't look like they've tried to sprout and died or anything. So there's still hope for the marigolds. Super excited about that one. All right, the last one that we have growth with is the goji berry. Y'all, I told everyone that I was planting goji berries, and I got some reactions to the goji berry. I got told, y'all, that goji berries do not taste good. They're very good for you, but they're not pleasant to taste. And then I also got told that they're invasive and they are perennial, which I knew, but they're invasive just like a blackberry or a raspberry bush would be. And so I also got told not to put them anywhere that I actually cared about what was next to them, which has brought me to the conclusion that the goji berry is going to be in a pot, and that's just where it's going to live. And I don't think it likes a lot of sun. And honestly, putting it in a pot, maybe I'll put it in a grow bag. That's probably a better idea. I'll probably put it in a grow bag so that it's super easy to move around, so that it's not going to get scorched. And then I won't have to worry about it getting into anything else. The roots will air prune. Best thing about a grow bag. And then I won't have to worry about that. And then by the time I actually get fruit off of it, I won't be heartbroken if I decide that, like you all said, that it just tastes like not something pleasant, and I won't be sad if I get rid of it. I don't know if I will. Apparently they're very good for you. They're like a superfood. So maybe I'll just get creative with it and find a way to consume it that doesn't taste disgusting. I don't know. But I do have a few sprouts. I have 1, 2, 3. I have 3. There's a lot of mold in this one. So I learned over this experience. Here, I'll show you. There's a lot of mold. So I learned in this experience that the type of plastic that you use is super important. So M.I. Gardner did a video on winter sowing, and they were using, I think he used some milk jugs, but he was also using like the clear plastic water jugs. And I remember him saying that he liked those better, and I didn't realize why. And I think I understand why now, because the type of plastic that this is, that they use to make milk jugs, it kind of folds back on itself. It doesn't want to separate from itself. And it's super flimsy, right? But you're going to get that no matter what. So what happened with some of them, I already showed you the uneven water with the poppy and the marigolds. So half of that container had perfect water, and then the other half just was bone dry. And the soil level is consistent. The place I had it was relatively flat. And then some of them just stayed insanely wet the entire time. So this one, the goji berry, is just super wet, which is crazy here. I've never seen so much mold on the top of my growing medium before, because I live in such a dry climate that's generally not a problem. And then my snapdragons that I started, in a second we'll go over to the few jugs that don't have any germination at all. One of them was the snapdragon, and I think the reason why it has no germination in it is because it's just waterlogged. And I cut holes in the bottom of all of these jugs, but what happened was some of them were just slits. I just, made little cuts in the bottom, and I did like 4 or 5 in each jug, so I thought that it was going to be enough. But what happened with some of them is our temperature fluctuation was crazy. So I think it got hot enough to kind of make the cheap plastic meld together a little bit. And I just don't think that there was enough airflow and holes in the bottom of that to allow for any meaningful drainage. So while we don't get a lot of rain here, we got enough to waterlog at least 2 or 3 of these jugs. And a couple of them haven't germinated, and I think that that's why there's too much water in it. So that is definitely a lessons learned. But overall, honestly, I'm super impressed. I'm stoked that I honestly got any germination out of things like the lavender, the goji berry, the black swan poppy. And let's go and now take a look at the failures. I don't want to call them failures, actually. The things that have not germinated yet. They still could. I don't know. I'm going to leave them out here for another few weeks. And we still have some freezes, so maybe they just need a little love. Maybe they take longer than a couple of weeks to germinate, and that is why they have not germinated yet, even though we've had some really nice weather lately. So I'm not giving up completely on these, but what I am going to do is cut some bigger holes in the bottom of the Snapdragon jug very carefully because I don't want to have to basically remake that entire jug. So I'm going to very carefully try to cut holes in the bottom without disturbing it. I'll do my best. We'll see what happens. And then let's take a look at all of the other things. Like I said, I don't have labels on all of them, but I have a pretty good guess of what is in most of them. All right, I'm just going to start on the side and work my way down. So this one is Bells of Ireland. This is the flower. I don't even know if you can see in there. This is the flower that I tried to start last year along with the poppies, and I didn't realize that they needed cold stratification. And so I threw them in the milk jugs, hoping that would do the trick, and I just don't see anything happening. This one I didn't see. These aren't the ones that were waterlogged. This one's marjoram. Also, no germination yet on that one. Marjoram and other herbs just take forever, and so I'm really not giving up on that one quite yet. This one has no label on either side. I guess it's got a label in there. Oh, lemon balm. Lemon balm I have also never gotten successful germination with. So again, I'm not giving up on these. We'll leave them out here and see if we can get anything else out of it. Asparagus. This one is one of the ones that the jug was super waterlogged. And so I don't know if I'm going to get anything out of that one, because if it germinated and then died because it was insanely, because it was drowning, then I'm not going to get anything out of it. Sage, another one of the herbs. Honestly, if I get anything out of it, I'll be happy. But this one is the Snapdragon. And Snapdragon seeds are pretty tiny. And I don't know if you can see all of the water in there, but it's pretty bad. So I'm going to cut some holes in that one. And then this one, this one's marjoram. So yeah, so a lot of these are herbs that take forever to germinate anyway, so I'm not giving up on them completely. Like I said, I will keep these out here in the elements for at least another month and see if I can get any germination out of them. But the rest of these, I'm going to make sure that they have enough water, and then I'm going to go find a home for them in the greenhouse. Alright, here are all of the containers, safe and sound, inside the greenhouse. Very excited. Look at how big those are. All of a big, strong looking seedling, you know? They look so hardy compared to the little anise and bee balm that look like they're holding on for dear life. All right, anyway, so those are in the greenhouse, safe and sound. I just want them to be afforded all the protection that they need in the coming weeks because we are still supposed to get really cold. But I did also want to show you a couple of cool things that I noticed while I was out here. So my snapdragons have not come up yet for the winter sowing, but I had them in containers last year, and there are already some trying to start to come back up. So are snapdragons perennials, or are these just seeds that have dropped from last year? I don't even know, but look at that. Don't they look cool? Oh, so exciting. I also have, these are the Johnny Jump Ups, and right here is what I was saying earlier. There's a little bit of chamomile that's coming back up. I am by no means a flower expert. I can just tell when it's a really distinctive looking flower. So there are a few places in here where it's sprouted. But the Johnny Jump Ups I'm super excited about because those ones bloomed really early for me last year. So to have some already coming up is exciting. And then right next to it, this is tarragon. And I think tarragon is perennial. I don't know if this one, I don't know. Someone would have to tell me. Maybe I'll have to look it up. Is this just like the, oh look, there's even a little tiny chamomile in this pot as well because it was right next to it. That's so funny. Yeah. Is this one perennial too, or did it just self-seed? It looks like it's a perennial. Looks like it's coming off of the old growth. I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, super excited to be out back in the garden after not feeling well for a couple of weeks. Thank you all for joining me today. Like, subscribe, do all the things, share, and I'll see you next time. Bye.